Hi students, this is Mathura, PGT Biology, Ponvidhyashram, Kolapakam. Already we are seeing Unit 1, Diversity in the Living World. In that unit we are seeing the first chapter, the Living World. Under Living World we have seen the characteristics of living things and non-living things. Now we are moving on to the next topic, that is diversity. Living world diversity. Biodiversity or biological diversity, it is the entire number and types of organisms present on the earth such as microbes, plants, animals and humans. So, bio means living and diversity means variations. So, variations in living organisms is called as biodiversity. There are a number of species living on the world. They can be of many kinds. They are microbes, plants, animals and humans. We are going to see how they are classified in this chapter. According to a survey, the number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 million to 1.8 million. Actually, it is a survey that is done by an autonomous unit, but scientists are not okay with these numbers. They are telling that there will be more number of species than these numbers, because most of the areas in earth has not been explored by human beings. The areas in Amazon basin and in the areas in the deeper oceans has not been touched by human beings. They may be containing so much of species that is unknown to the mankind. So, this 1.7 million is not the apt number that describes the number of organisms present in this world. As we continue to explore new areas, new organisms are continuously being added. Huge available variety can be studied and identified by having a proper system of classification and nomenclature. Need for classification. What is the need for classification? Classification is necessary for an organism due to following reasons. What are all the reasons we will see? Convenience of study, knowledge of adaptations, knowledge of sequence of evolution, knowledge of phylogenetic relationship, discovery of new organisms. When the organisms are classified under certain rules, we can see the relationship between one organism and the other, the relationship between one species and other. It may be morphological, physiological, behavioral or some other means, genetical too. So, this leads to the study of evolution over the period of time, how organisms evolved from simpler forms to the complex forms can be understood based on classification. So, this is the reason why we need classification. Based on the classification, the three domains of life are Archaebacteria, Eubacteria and Eukarya. They can be also called as kingdom Archaebacteria, kingdom Eubacteria and kingdom Eukaryotes. So, coming to Archaebacteria, Archaebacteria is the primitive form of life. They include prokaryotes. Prokaryotes are the primitive organism. Pro means primitive, karyon means nucleus. So, the organisms containing the primitive nucleus is called as prokaryotes. They fall under the group Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. Monolayer core of lipids in the cell membrane. They have a monolayer of lipids in the cell membrane, whereas in Eubacteria and Eukarya they have the complex layer of cell membrane where they have phospholipid bilayer, whereas in Archaebacteria they have a single layer, that is a monolayer. Distinct nucleotides in their 16S RNA. They have a distinct nucleotides which is not seen in Eubacteria and Eukarya. Lives in extreme conditions, methanogens, halophiles and thermoacidophiles. The beauty of Archaebacteria is they are primitive. So, when the earth is formed, the outer condition of the earth is not that much favorable. Okay, they had extreme condition, heavy temperature, high temperature volcanoes, and the core of the earth is having high temperature. Likewise, the outer earth is also having high temperature when the earth is formed earlier. So, during that period of time, the primitive organisms that are formed on the earth can withstand that much extreme conditions. Okay, thermophiles or archaebacteria that can withstand high temperature. They have enzymes that can withstand high temperature without getting denatured, and also the acidophiles or bacteria that can live in high acid condition, that is when the pH is below 3 they can also survive. And halophiles or bacteria, they live in extreme salinity environment where the saline is higher than that of the optimum level. They have the certain adaptations for the osmoregulations so that it can withstand the high salinity. So, these are all primitive organisms and also extremophiles that can live in harsh environment. Coming to eubacteria, eu means true. So, it is true bacteria. It consists of typical prokaryotes. These also contain prokaryotes, but they are different from archaebacteria. It lack membrane covered cell organelles. Though they have phospholipid bilayer, they lack membrane covered cell organelles. That is the major difference between the eukaryotes and the prokaryotes. Eukaryotes have well developed nucleus and organelles with definite cell membrane. But coming to prokaryotes, that is a eubacteria, they don't have a cell organelles with a cell membrane. Naked DNA is in a coiled form. They don't have a nuclear membrane. 70S ribosomes are present, and it has the following bacteria. That is, kingdom Eubacteria contains bacteria, Mycoplasma, actinomycetes, Rickettsia, spirochetes, cyanobacteria. Coming to eukarya. Eukaryotes means true, karyon nucleus. They have a true nucleus, that is, a nucleus is contained in a well definite nuclear membrane, that is called as eukaryotes. So, it contains all the eukaryotes. These eukaryotes are unicellular and multicellular. They have 80S ribosomes present, nucleus enclosed within the membranes. As I said earlier, the major difference is the nucleus is enclosed in a well developed nuclear membrane. It contains 4 kingdoms. They are Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. Protista contains the unicellular organisms, fungi contains the fungi, and plantae contains plants, and animalia includes all the animals. Coming to the classification, it is called as systematics. What is systematics? G.G. Simpson in 1961 defined it as the scientific study of the kinds and diversity of organisms and of any and all relationships among them. The science of diversity of organisms. So, systematics is the science of diversity of organisms. Though it is defined by Simpson, it was coined by Carolus Linnaeus. So, Linnaeus is the father of taxonomy. He only started the study of classification of organisms. So, he coined the name Systema Naturae for his books of classification. So, from that only systematics come to the system. So, phenetic is similarity. How the organisms are classified, that is given in this list. Phenetic means similarity, similarity of the organisms. Phylogenetic, kinship by descent from common ancestors. How they are inheriting the common ancestors. Trophic, food relationship, and geographic, spatial relationship. The food relationship, how whether it is a prey or a predator or a competitor. In coming to geographical, where it stays based on the habitat. These are the classification done in the system. Systematics is the study of the historical relationships of groups of biological organisms, the recognition and understanding of biodiversity. Tracing phylogeny is one goal of systematics, hence it is considered the study of biological diversity in an evolutionary context. See, the important aspect of classification is to understand the evolutionary aspect. So, the studying the variations in the organisms will help us to understand evolution better. The term systematics stems from the Latinized Greek word systema as applied to the system of classification developed by early naturalists. Coming to identification and classification, how the classification is done by the rule, we are going to see. Identification is the first step, aims at finding the correct name and appropriate position of an organism. The morphological and anatomical characters are examined for proper identification. Organisms are identified based on their morphological and anatomical characters. Classification, to study the huge number and variety of organisms, they are classified into different categories according to their specific features. To study the huge number of organisms and variety of organisms, they are classified under categories, whether by phenetic or phylogenetic or geographic or trophical. So, coming to the biological classification, it is a scientific arrangement of organisms in a hierarchy of groups and subgroups on the basis of similarities and differences in their traits. So, this biological classification is done based on the similarities and differences in their genetic traits. Coming to the need for classification, why the classification is needed. It helps to identify and study an organism easily. A new organism easily gets correct place in the respective groups. Makes study of fossils easy. Helps in building evolutionary pathways. Becomes easy to know the features of whole group by studying one or two organisms. So, these are all the need for classifications. It helps to identify and study an organism easily, so that we can know the full details of organism if we study one of the species. New organism easily get correct place in the respective groups, and it makes study of fossils easy. When you know about organism through classification, if we identify any fossils, we can relate the characters of the fossils to the existing species through classification. Helps in building evolutionary pathways. As I have already told that the need for classification is to understand evolution better. The relationship between the organism is easily understood with classification, which leads to the understanding of evolution. Becomes easy to know the feature of whole group by studying one or two organisms. If you study only one species, you will come to know about the relationship of the species and how the genetic trait is formed for the entire genera. So, when you study about a species, you will come to know about the entire genera and family. Coming to nomenclature, how the organisms are named. After classification, each organism has to be given a name. So, there comes the nomenclature. Nomenclature is a system of naming a living organism in a way that it's known by the same name all over the world. So, nomenclature is divided into two types, that is common name and scientific name. We will see what is a common name and what is the advantage and disadvantage, and we also see what is scientific name and what is the advantage and disadvantage there. So, coming to common names. Common names are vernacular names. It is the local name given to an organism in a specific language in a particular region. There are different names of the same organism in different regions, even within a country. It is a name given at the local place with the local language, regional place at the regional language. For example, rose is called as gulab in Hindi, golab in Bangla, and Rojapu in Tamil. So, in different regional language, each organism is given different names. Advantages of common name is easy to pronounce and it is short. People are familiar to these names based on some features of the organisms. These names are given in the regional language based on some features of the organism. Disadvantages of common name. What are the disadvantages? All the organisms cannot be named by this method, some of which are not directly perceived by man and thus remain unnamed. Example, microbes. So, people when come in contact with the organism, they name that organism. Microbes cannot be seen with the naked eye. So, humans doesn't know the existence of microbes and they haven't given any names for the microbes. Only under for research purpose and when it is observed under microscope, we can see the microbes and study their characters. So, microbes are not given any common names. So, it has to be given a scientific name. An organism may have several names in a given language. Example, water lily has 15 English names. Yes. So, in some areas, even in India where there is a diversified languages seen, each organism is given different names in different languages. So, it cannot be followed in universally. So, an example is given, water lily has 15 English names. In each region, organism is given a different name. So, it cannot be used universally. One common name may have different meanings in different countries. So, one common name in one language will have other meaning in other language. So, it cannot be used universally. So, coming to the second type, that is scientific names. It is given by biologists. Each name represents a particular organism in all part of the world. The system of providing scientific names is called binomial nomenclature. So, scientific names is universally accepted name. Okay, it is a binomial nomenclature. Binomial means by two, nomial name. So, each organism is given two names here in scientific name category. It is called as binomial nomenclature. The scientific names must be acceptable in every part of the world, assigned on agreed principles and criteria, different for each species and not used for organisms earlier. How the scientific name should be? It should be acceptable in every part of the world. It has to be accepted by all the world communities and it has to be assigned on agreed principles and criteria. The binomial nomenclature has a principle and criteria and the name has to be assigned such as all the principle and criteria are satisfied. Different for each species and not used for organisms earlier. Each species has to be given a different name. It should not overlap with the name that is existing. So, binomial nomenclature was first developed by Carolus Linnaeus in 1751. All scientific names for animals under binomial nomenclature were given by him in his book Systema Naturae. Plants are named in his book Species Plantarum. Example, scientific name of mango is Mangifera indica and cobra is Naja naja. So, Carolus Linnaeus is the father of taxonomy. As I have said earlier, he coined the name Systema in his book Systema Naturae. So, he classified the plants in his book Species Plantarum in which he has introduced the binomial nomenclature. The plants are given a name like Mangifera indica. Mangifera indica is the scientific name for mangoes and cobra is given Naja naja. So, what are the rules for binomial nomenclature? The name consists of two words, genus and species. As I said, binomial nomenclature, it consists of two words. One is the genus name and the other one is the species name. So, the genus name has to come first and the species name has to be followed. Both words are italicized or underlined. Every time when you are writing a scientific name, you have to either italicize the words or you have to underline the words. Genus is always capitalized. Always the generic name has to be written with a capital letter. Species is always lowercase. You have to write the species name in the small letter. You should not confuse with that, because this is a rules laid for binomial nomenclature. Every time when you are writing a scientific name, the generic name has to be in the capital letter and the species name has to be in the small letter, and those words have to be underlined. Both names are in Latin or Latinized. Most of the scientific names are Latin words. Two different organisms cannot have the same name. So, each organism has to be given a different name. It should not be repeated. The species name has to be different within the same genus. So, the genus name will be the same for the species which is coming under the genus, but the species name has to be different to differentiate the organism from the other one. Coming to advantages of this binomial nomenclature, binomial names are universal name for plants. So, definite and precise names are given under binomial nomenclature. Describes the main features of the plants. Greek and Latin names are internationally known. Easy to arrange plants based on their systematic relationship. Not only plants, animals, microbes, everything has the same advantages like that of this advantages of binomial nomenclature for plants. So, here not only plants, for all the organisms these advantages are applied. So, with this the binomial nomenclature is over. Next we will see what is taxonomy. Thank you students.